Hating Hublot is the new cool thing. Most people who trash Hublot have never entered a Hublot store. They've never held a Hublot watch. But they just follow along because everybody else seems to hate them. And I used to be one of them too. Until I started to try to understand, why is it that most people hate Hublot? Why is it that watch enthusiasts don't like this brand? Hublot became an official brand in 1980s. And one of the most common complaints I hear about this brand, about Hublot, is that, oh, it's trying to be an AP. Okay, I do see one of their classics resemble an AP. But if you look at the entire Hublot collection, are they all trying to be AP? Before I get into a value for money aspect, I want to talk about its design. I want to talk about the good about Hublot, because it's very easy to, talk shit about a brand based on its specifications alone. Oh, why should I spend X amount of money on a watch when I can find the same specifications on a different brand for half the price? Right? That's the argument that you hear all the time. And you should just forget about everything in between. Either you go really high in-house or you stay down there, but never in between. Like, people hate that for some reason. So when Hublot puts a Salida movement in one of their watches and asking for a luxury price, people lost their minds. And that's where the other things like design, which is very, very subjective and can never be quantifiably rated, right? Because it's about individual expression. So how can you rate design, visual design? My point is that it starts off with that value, right? That's where the problem is. That's the main thing about Hublot that most people are bothered by. Because the value is not there, supposedly, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, everything else starts to look bad. Then you start to nitpick on small, minor things. Oh, see, look, it also doesn't have this. Look, it's also trying to copy AP. And look, the design is just so gaudy. All these big shots are wearing it. It's just a marketing brand. It's nothing else. You just start to, create these stories, these negative, toxic stories around your head to justify hating this brand. If you've noticed on my channel, I don't really hate on watch brands. First of all, I only review those watches that I genuinely find a bit interesting. I don't want to waste my time on talking about something that I know is not good. The whole point, the whole value that I want to bring to you guys is by talking about something valuable, right? So introducing a new watch brand that might be interesting that you may never have heard of. So that to me is kind of cool. But you won't find a lot of negativity on my channel. I don't like to necessarily hate on watches and or watch brands, and I think it's honestly, it's immature to do that, because who am I to hate a watch brand or hate a watch? It might be something valuable to you. Let me show you an example here. This is, I don't know if you can see that. This is an Armani watch. Yes, you heard that right. It's an Armani. It's a quartz chronograph. Now, I haven't reviewed this watch. This is my own watch. I probably won't review this watch because when I review this, I'll have to be speaking objectively. And objectively, it doesn't have that financial value. It's not value for money because you're paying essentially for the brand name, right? The Armani name. But it's a fashion watch. It doesn't have any, it doesn't have sapphire crystal. It doesn't have I don't even know about the movement. The design is fine, but I'm not going to judge this based on the specifications and the quality of this watch, but it's still valuable. And the reason why this is still valuable to me is because it was a gift. It was a gift from my uncle who, when he found out that I'm doing this whole watch YouTube thing, you like watches, so I got this for you. And I just found it to be so, wholesome. It doesn't matter what you give me. It doesn't matter what brand it is or how much it costs. It's about the gesture. Do you just, love a person based on their skin color and their, so to speak, specifications? You're looking at a lifetime of cancellation if you even attempt to do that. I'm not comparing people to watches because these are just materialistic objects, but the comparison here is in terms of the affection that we feel towards these watches. That's what I'm trying to talk about. When you love a watch, it doesn't necessarily have to be objective. It can be completely illogical. It can be completely irrational. If somebody likes a Hublot, how do you put value on that? How do you say that this watch is trash? You can give your opinion that, yeah, you know what, you can find better watches for the money, but genuinely going out hating on this brand, like, oh, this watch is shit and this and that. Honestly, guys, if you're doing that, just grow up. But it's just laughable at this point, the way that people are hating on Hublot for no apparent reason. They haven't even seen anything that they've done. They don't know the history of this brand. They don't know about the achievements, the innovations of this brand. The same people who hate Hublot, they are loving Richard Mille because it's making them more money because of the investment factor. I'm not a fan of Hublot, by the way. I don't like the design, but I'm still defending it because it's not my place to hate on it. My personal taste in watches is extremely boring, kind of like Adrian, but less expensive. They've come up with their own in-house movements. They've come up with insane case materials, their whole fusion concept. This is still an important side of watchmaking. You can't say that it's trash or it's irrelevant. It is relevant. It is needed. When a brand does something crazy, they're basically setting up a design precedence. They're creating a product that other brands can refer to and they can imagine, and they can, share that research and use that research, even if it's secondhand research. It's so helpful for the watch world to move forward when brands are doing something different. So I never want to discourage that. Even if you're creating something insane and it looks weird, I don't have to like it, but you still have to applaud them for trying something new. Another thing about value for money. If a Rolex costs 10,000 at retail and you're willing to spend 15, 20,000, and then you're complaining that Hublot is not value for money, how is that value for money? Oh, because it's going to retain. So you're not actually enjoying watches. You're just, you're investing. You're looking for stocks to invest in. Of course, then Hublot is shit because it's not a stock, it's a watch. Honestly, the hatred towards Hublot is inconsistent. These are genuinely my honest thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with this whole hype hating Hublot is the new cool? Like, do you agree with all this, or do you think it's a bit blown out of proportion?